Are ye not as children of the Ethiopians unto me, O children of Israel, saith the Lord? Have not I brought up Israel out of the land of Egypt, and the Philistines from Caphtor, and the Syrians from Kir?
You are representatives of the Christian Zionists who made Jewish Zionism possible. It's hard for me to conceive the emergence of the Jewish state, the re-emergence of the Jewish state, without the support of Christian Zionists in the United States, also in Britain, but the main thrust was in the United States in the 19th century. So Christian Zionism facilitated the rise and success of Jewish Zionism. And it's been an enormous partnership since then, and for me especially on the conservative wing of the United States. And I think it's not just Israel's battle. I think it's our common Judeo-Christian civilizational battle, and I think we have to engage in that battle as forcefully, with as much resolution as we engage the other 7 fronts. I think it affects not only Israel, it affects America, it affects our alliance, it affects the future of Western civilization. And I don't think I'm exaggerating one bit. I have here my colleagues, Israel's ambassador to the United States, to the United Nations, our consul general in New York, our consul general in Miami, and every one of my delegation. We feel that this is a theater that has to be engaged with great force. Who's to engage in us? In this? It's us. It's you and us. And we have to, we have to be, I think we have to stand up and be counted. They have to hear our voice. There are some people who believe that, that faith should be silent and terrorism should be understood. No. Faith should speak its voice, and terrorism should be confronted, not understood, confronted and defeated. And that is what we're engaged in right now. So I want you to know that I spoke with President Trump yesterday. I said this publicly too. I see the battle against us and the battle against our Judeo-Christian tradition basically being waged around the globe. And it's waged primarily by 2 forces, radical Shiite Islam and radical Sunni Islam. That means the axis that is led by Iran, much battered, admittedly, but still there, and the axis, the Sunni axis, led by the Muslim Brotherhood, which permeates everything. They go to Europe, they go to the United States, they go to Africa, Nigeria. And we are conscious of the fact that Christians are being persecuted across the Middle East, in Syria, in Lebanon, in Nigeria, in Turkey, and beyond. And we're also aware of the fact, as you are, that one country protects the Christian community, enables it to grow, defends it, and makes sure that it thrives. And that country is Israel. There is no other. None. We are joining an effort to have basically a United Nations of countries that support Christian communities around the world, beleaguered communities who deserve our help. Just as you are helping us, we want to help back. And we're capable of doing that. In Africa with intel, in the Middle East with a lot of means that I won't itemize each one. But this is what our agenda is. It's the main part of our agenda, and it's going to continue with greater force and greater might in this coming year. I want to use this opportunity to wish you all, well, it's kind of late for a Merry Christmas, but a belated Happy Christmas, and not a belated, and on time, a Happy New Year. May it be a year of prosperity, peace, and security for all of us, but especially for the Christian communities around the world. So thank you, and Happy New Year to all of you, and thank you.
Are you in touch with Christians in Syria at all right now?
Yes, I am. And I have lots of Syrians in my parish and Palestinians, and they're both in great sorrow, You know, when I visited Syria in 2010, I was hosted by a wonderful metropolitan who was in the southern part of Syria. It was just before the civil war broke out, just before the jihadis and ISIS really started ransacking the country. At that time, there were about 20 million Syrians and 2 million were Christians. That's only 10% of the population. But we have ancient culture there, ancient churches that go all the way back to the very beginning of the Christian faith. I traveled in all of the bishoprics of Syria, all the way up to the Turkish border. We even went across the Turkish border into what is ancient Antioch, which is where Christians were first called Christians, right? This is Acts chapter 11. The first place we actually were called Christians was in the greatest of the Roman cities in the east, the place where the emperor had his palace in the east, the place where he would launch all his Persian wars from the east. This was Paul's missionary hub. If you read the Acts of the Apostles, this is the place that he launched his greatest missionary endeavors, his great 4 missionary journeys. That whole area used to be the heartbeat of the Patriarchate of Antioch, one of the 5 great patriarchates, together with Rome, Alexandria, Jerusalem, Antioch. These are like the core of first millennium Christianity. Once the war broke out, Christians have been, what shall I say, brutally decimated. The political power at that time, and for
war recently, the war,
2011,
and which, just for folks listening, what is that war?
Yeah, this is the outbreak of what we would know as the successors to Al Qaeda, what are called ISIS. These are Sunni jihadis who view the murder of Christians who resist conversion to Islam as an imperative.
I think there's a lot of people who look at the Middle East and they just see constant, from their Western vantage point, maybe American vantage point, maybe constant turmoil, dictators that get deposed, new regimes that come to power, warring in between sects of Islam, radical Islamists, ISIS, Al Qaeda, emerging, different sects fighting, and then there's Christians who are kind of caught up in the middle of the firestorm.
Islam is the most disruptive historical development in the history of Christianity. Muhammad was born in 570 in what is now Saudi Arabia. And by the time he finished, by 630 or so, he had led 25 raids against Jewish and Christian tribes, unprovoked. The majority are the Sunni, and the Sunni have given us the hardest time. So I mentioned traveling in Syria in 2010. 2011, the war broke out, and now we don't have 2 million Christians in Syria anymore. Maybe we have 300,000 or 400,000.
Incredible.
Yeah.
There used to be how many?
2 million.
2 million Christians in Syria.
That was just in 2010. There used to be a lot more than that.
In 2010.
2010.
And now it's down to a few
Vast
100,000.
majority are gone. Absolutely.
And they've fled or they've been killed?
Both.
The United States and the European Union are acting so surprised that the Syrian regime has allowed killing of innocent civilians in Syria, even though the people who run Syria now, after the overthrow of Bashar al-Assad, are known al-Qaeda terrorists. The State Department has long since known that. We are not surprised, and neither is Kevork Almasian, our next guest. He is an Armenian Orthodox Christian who was born in Syria, award-winning journalist who has been warning about this. Now, in 2015, President Trump said, look, Assad may be protecting people there. We don't know who would be coming in. They could be worse. But we did know, because the Obama administration is the one that sold us this idea of arming moderates. Al-Nusra is an arm of al-Qaeda. So Americans should feel incredibly pissed off, I do, that we were fighting al-Qaeda in Afghanistan and arming them in Syria, and then pretend that we didn't think that this would happen. So can you please remind us what the tenets are of al-Nusra as an extension of al-Qaeda? I'll get you out of here on this.
Actually, just interestingly, that Abu Muhammad al-Jolani ended up in an American prison, CIA-led prison in Iraq in 2003 or 5, alongside Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, and then they released him only the same year when the war started in Syria, and then sent them both to Syria, one of which created ISIS and the other one created Nusra. In 2012, Obama knew when he put his signature on Operation Timber Sycamore, which is a covert CIA operation in Syria for the regime change, he knew that they are arming radical Islamist elements in Syria. The Defense Intelligence Agency has given him the report telling him that the driving force behind the insurgency in Syria are the Al-Qaeda and Muslim Brotherhood jihadists. And he knowingly put his signature on the operation, hence giving $1 billion per year, weapons and ammunition and training to these jihadists in Syria. And this is only the CIA program. Then we have in parallel the Pentagon also trained separately $500 million worth of program all these jihadists in Syria. And then we have the regional countries. Qatar spent tens of billions of dollars in arming them. Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Israel, which now pretends to come as a savior for the minorities. When the former head of Mossad was asked on Al Jazeera, why did you guys receive the Al-Qaeda elements in your hospitals and given them the treatment? He said it's a tactical move from Israel that they're dealing with these Al-Qaeda elements. And then the Israeli press themselves confessed that Israel given them light weapons, they have given them cash. USAID, how much money USAID has given to these people? Billions of dollars in 10% of the Syrian territory. All this money went into one place, which is the one small governorate where this Jolani used to control. Millions of them went to these jihadists through corrupted NGOs claiming to be humanitarian, receiving the money and then paying the salaries of the officers and the commanders of these Al-Qaeda groups. It's a complete sham. It's a complete lie, Natalie, that they have sold to the American people. Now we lost our country and the world has become a more dangerous place because if this example is copied in the Middle East, what kind of message they are sending to the rest of the Arab people and the Muslim people in the Arab world? That in order for you to come to power, you have to become one of these Al-Qaeda elements and remove your previous regimes, and for you to conquer and become to power. And then they will normalize it, you know. This is very dangerous precedent, what's happening in Syria.
The decades-old conflict reignited over a region called Nagorno-Karabakh. Azerbaijan claims the area, though most living there are Armenian. Turkey supports Azerbaijan, while both Russia and Iran side with Armenia. Israel also plays a role. Over decades, it and Azerbaijan have developed close ties. For Israel, it's part geopolitics and part economic.
Azerbaijan is a very important country for Israel because it supplies much of Israel's oil. As a country that has also Jewish community that they are treating very well, and it is a Muslim country. And we are very much interested in having good relations with Muslim countries. And finally, it borders Iran. And of course, we are interested in looking into Iran.
Ironically, the alliance with Azerbaijan also puts Israel on the same side of its adversary, Turkey. Azerbaijan's ambassador Ilan Suleimanov confirmed its close relationship to Israel with CBN's George Thomas.
Out of the 57 member states of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, Azerbaijan is probably the closest friend of Israel.
Armenia is the oldest Christian country on earth, and Artsakh, Nagorno-Karabakh, was always the heart of Armenia.
I have always wanted to build my own house in my village. It was going to be a beautiful house, but then
In September 2020, Azerbaijan bombed the Holy Savior with 2 precision missiles. I think their goal is to eliminate us as a people.
When they target churches, when cemeteries are raided and tombstones are destroyed, it's an example of state-sponsored terror.
Exactly 100 years before the 2020 attack, the cathedral was severely damaged. During the massacres of Shushi in 1920, Azerbaijan kept destroying Armenian monuments and keeps destroying Armenian monuments, including cemeteries, till this day.
Azerbaijan, that had built up so many relationships in the West, is now on our country of particular concern list on religious freedom because of their persecution. That's a big stripe mark against Azerbaijan.
I lost my 8-year-old Victoria to Azeri drone bombing, and my 2-year-old son, Adziv, suffered grave shrapnel wounds and serious head injuries. The pain is unbearable.
There are videos online of Azerbaijani forces beheading people, torturing, mutilating them, cutting off fingers and stuffing them in their mouths, stuffing stones in corpses' eyes.
They would take the prisoners' phones and they would film that. And they would send that film back to the families. So the families got the horrendous pictures of their sons or husbands or fathers being tortured and slaughtered.
Now, what we're dealing with is 120,000 refugees who had to flee into Armenia. And these people have a right of return.
Genocide against Armenians in 2023 happened, and it's still happening. As soon these people are not going back to their land, as soon the leaders are in jail, it's still happening. It's a genocide because Azerbaijan blocked the food and the essential to Nagorno-Karabakh, and they bombed them, removing the entire population from Nagorno-Karabakh. That's the genocide by book.
Whenever a society allows a genocidal spirit to take root within them, it hurts that society. This will hurt Azerbaijan, and this will hurt Turkey and this kind of neo-Ottoman empire that Erdogan is pushing.
Since the collapse of the USSR, the government of Azerbaijan has deliberately destroyed well over 28,000 sacred Armenian monuments. In October 2020 address to his nation, Azerbaijan's president said that he would chase Armenians like dogs. There will be no traces of them left on those lands. For over 1,700 years, Artsakh Armenians have worshipped and thrived on their ancestral lands. 2024 marks the first time since 301 AD when Easter was not celebrated in Artsakh and the ancient church bells no longer toll.
I disavow the decisions and the policies of the state of Israel. I can say that and still not be anti-Semitic. I can say I disagree with Biden's government and not be anti-American. Do you see the connection that I'm making here? You don't have to be anti-Semitic to say that Israel is emphatically in the wrong when they're selling weapons to Azerbaijan. But if we're going to talk about our weapon or the weapons of Israel being sold to Azerbaijan, we also have to address this other issue, that American tax dollars have been sent over as aid and weaponry support to Azerbaijan. And by the way, the Azeris live under an oppressive regime from Aliyev. The aid that you're sending to Azerbaijan, that's not used as aid for its citizens. And if Washington thinks that, they are fools. They take that money for aid and they use it for weapons.
But this all culminates in the ethnic cleansing of Nagorno-Karabakh, of Artsakh, in 2023. That's when the blockade was going on in full force. And then finally in September, we see what happens. And we have the ethnic cleansing of Artsakh. 120,000 ethnic Armenians leave their historic lands forcibly by Azerbaijan after 9 months of starvation due to blockade. And now Artsakh is in the possession of these radical Islamic terrorists who are ordered by this dictator named Aliyev, who is a radical terrorist who needs to be looked at by the United States State Department like we did Osama bin Laden and Hussein.
History tragically repeats itself as we witness the modern-day genocide unfolding. Yet the media's silence on this issue is deafening. The Armenian people, who've endured centuries of persecution due to their faith, find themselves once again subjected to a brutal campaign of ethnic cleansing. In the grip of Azerbaijan and Turkey, countless Armenians are enduring unspeakable horrors: loss of life, forced displacement, starvation, and isolation from essential supplies. These are the same Armenians whose roots run deep in a land they've called home for generations. I implore the international community across all nations to take swift action, extend a helping hand to the Armenian population, offer them the protection they desperately need, and create a humanitarian corridor for their safe passage. Most importantly, let's engage in immediate diplomatic efforts to ensure that these exiled individuals can return to their rightful homes without delay. To the Armenian people who still suffer, I say, don't lose heart. God is with you.
And are you aware of what happened yesterday with the church in Sushi?
Yeah. I heard about that they dropped the bomb.
Yes.
On church.
Twice. Once in the morning and then once in the evening. And there were actually 2 journalists that were injured.
You see, it's not just war. Now I see that they are against also 2 Christians.
So you think it was intentional that they bombed the church?
Yeah. What does it mean? The house, you explode the houses or everything, and you go to church also? You know that it's a holy place, and you want to explode the church also? Why?
Mm-hmm. Are you afraid here?
I'm not afraid, because I know that God with us, and every day, every time we pray, I know that we will win because God with us.
You guys, genocide, to make certain comments is overly sensitive. I'm Armenian and I'm Assyrian. Armenian genocide, April 24th, 1915, 1.5 million Armenians, 300,000 Assyrians, 200,000 Greeks. We're all part of that community, roughly 2.2 million total if you count it, How come Israel hasn't recognized the Armenian genocide? That's kind of weird.
Well, Israel is torn on it. I don't have a full answer. I don't speak on behalf of Israel in this regard. I could tell you why at a certain point they didn't, because the only country the only Muslim country in the Middle East that wasn't targeting Israel for extinction was Turkey. And they have in Israel what we want in America. We want America first. They have Israel first. And when you're targeted for extinction, you
not lately.
Okay, so you're right. You're not. I said
not lately.
Not at all lately.
Right.
And I don't think that there is I don't think that there is a denial of the Armenian. There wasn't never a denial.
Never recognized.
Not recognizing is not the same as denial. I'm not making an excuse. I just want to make it clear.
Well, maybe make a phone call to your friends.
Yes. So it's a.
Can we get someone on the line here? Caller line
Listen,
2.
JD Vance and Cuomo call Trump. You can call Bibi and say, "Hey, can we
Pat, I think what you're bringing is a very valid point, because what Pat is basically saying is I'm recognizing the Jewish Holocaust. Just do me a favor and recognize what we've gone through.
Yes. So
and it makes valid sense. But if you're Israel, if you're America first, if you're Israel first, there's
if Israel's life weren't
there
on the line every day since it was founded in 1948, there would have been a non-issue with this regard.
Yeah, but this BS is going to change, and I'll tell you why. Because now you got the president of Turkey, Erdogan, who's calling for the annihilation of Israel.
That's correct.
So, newsflash, someone's going to have to do something to wake this up.
Let me tell you, it's a missed opportunity. Like when I saw Biden recognize the Armenian genocide, Trump could have done that.
Yep.
This is an opportunity for Bibi to you really want to give the middle finger? Bibi? Really? Why don't you go announce it and go ahead and recognize it? I don't know if he will or not. This is the one challenge I personally have. My audience is not going to be that interested in this story except for people from my community. The Holocaust has been recognized by 193 different countries, right? Everybody around the world. And in some countries, if you denied, you could do jail time. Many countries, you can do jail time a year or 5 years. But for anybody that doesn't recognize Armenian Assyrian genocide, if there's any country that I would have expected to be on the list that recognized the Armenian and the Assyrian and the Greek genocide, it would be Israel. Why haven't you yet recognized the Armenian, Assyrian, and the Greek genocide that the Turkish did to that community?
In fact, I think we have, because I think the Knesset passed a resolution to that effect.
I don't know if it's come from you, though. I don't know if it's come from the Prime Minister of Israel.
Yeah, I just did.
Okay.
Here you go.
All right. Well, thank you for doing that. Thank you for doing that. I appreciate you. That's important to me. And I'm sure a lot of Armenians, Assyrians, and Greeks around the world appreciate you saying that.
Most recently, it appears Ethiopia has managed to secure a hasty contract with Iran for the delivery of a number of Mohajer 6 unmanned combat aerial vehicles. The apparent delivery of Iranian UCAVs to Ethiopia is highly notable, as the country also maintains a close relationship with Israel and is a frequent importer of Israeli armament and other military services such as training. In fact, Ethiopia's inventory of unmanned aerial vehicles previously consisted almost entirely of Israeli systems like the Arosteros and Wandub Miniers.
Massacres, rape, siege, why Israel must stop its UAE ally aiding Ethiopia's atrocities. The UAE is running a huge airlift arming an Ethiopian regime committing mass atrocities in Tigray. That inhumane adventurism is a strategic problem for Israel too. The Abraham Accords gave Israel new leverage across the Arab world. Israel has new allies, notably the United Arab Emirates. It's now vital to examine what these allies might be doing, especially when they contradict the founding values of the State of Israel. Genocide scholars are sounding the alarm over Ethiopia, where the UAE is arming the government. Emirati-supplied weapons are encouraging Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed to go all out for a military solution, which risks mass ethnically targeted violence. Israel should stop its new ally before a blunder becomes a crime. The war in Ethiopia broke out last year, pitting the Ethiopian government and its allies, Eritrea and Ethiopia's Amhara regional state, against the Tigray region. All sides share responsibility for the war. Once it began, the Ethiopian government chose to fight with unspeakable brutality against Tigrayan civilians. I receive daily calls from Tigrayans. My instinctive greeting, by now, is to offer condolences. Every single caller has lost a family member, often in one of the 260 documented massacres. I don't ask about the daughters, sisters, and mothers who have been raped. I hear about deaths from disease, of people who cannot get medicine because the hospitals were ransacked. I hear about children and their mothers perishing from hunger because food was looted and plow oxen slaughtered. This suffering is unseen. With 110 million people, characterized by significant ethnic and religious diversity, the collapse of the country would be a calamity of surpassing size. Israel should be worried. It has ties to Ethiopia dating back to the time of Emperor Haile Selassie. It has a deep connection to the country's historic Jewish community, the Beta Israel. It has a security interest in a country strategically positioned at the southern end of the Red Sea arena, neighboring Muslim-majority countries. Over the years, Israel has cut deals to secure its strategic interests, and to get Ethiopia to allow its Jews to emigrate. 30 years ago, during the last months of the communist military regime, Israel reportedly supplied munitions to the Ethiopian Air Force in return for expediting Operation Solomon, which airlifted out 39,000 Beta Israel. Recently, as the Red Sea arena has become a theater of strategic rivalries and turmoil, Israel has kept a close eye on possible threats in the region, including militant groups. And with the Abraham Accords, Israel is becoming a partner to bin Zayed's adventurism. In Washington, D.C. and European capitals, Israeli and Emirati diplomats work hand in glove. The allies are building a new security architecture for the region, which is also giving the Emiratis a free pass when they go rogue. Emirati arms may save Abiy Ahmed's government, but, as we have seen from Libya and Yemen, saving a government may come at the cost of losing a functioning state. That could destabilize the Horn of Africa for an entire generation. Worse still, knowingly or not, the UAE is abetting an Ethiopian regime committing mass atrocities that are escalating by the day. The warning sirens of genocide are blaring, loudly. Israel took a moral stand against genocide in Rwanda and Darfur. It must act now when Tigrayans face that hideous prospect. It should tell its newfound ally in Abu Dhabi to stop, now, in the name of humanity.
The one thing the Temple Mount faithful need in order to justify the building of the third temple is the Ark of the Covenant. They need it back. and they have an aspiration to acquire it wherever in the world it may be. Oddly enough, in Iran, there is another tradition about the Ark of the Covenant, and it's written deeply into Shia traditions and legends, and it concerns a figure called the Mahdi, or the hidden Imam, who vanished from history some 1,000 years ago, and has said, rather like King Arthur, to be waiting the moment when he will return to the world. And there are many now amongst the Shias who believe that the Mahdi is already back, he's already present, and that what he needs to do is to acquire the Ark of the Covenant. The Mahdi will bring forth the Ark of the Covenant, the Shia prophecies say. And actually it's impossible to understand the motivation of a man like Ahmadinejad without being aware of the story of the hidden Imam, because Ahmadinejad is definitely seeking to build nuclear weapons. There's no doubt about it whatsoever. And the reason he's doing so is the Shia prophecies require him to prepare a powerful army to support the Mahdi and to sweep away the unbelievers from the Holy Land, and to bring about the last battle, which will be an apocalyptic final battle that will usher in the end of days, the end of the world, the day of judgment. It's a very, very scary scenario, and it involves the Ark of the Covenant. Just as Judaic fundamentalism, in the form of the Temple Mount faithful, also they need the Ark of the Covenant. Fundamentalist Christians need it too. The book of Revelation makes clear that the return of the Ark to the temple is one of the signs of the last of days. So from the perspective of fundamentalist Christianity, the reappearance of the Ark of the Covenant is absolutely necessary to bring about the day of judgment and the end of the world and the rapture. So one thing I can say is that if the Ark of the Covenant is indeed in Ethiopia, I hope it stays there. And that maybe that old story is right, that God wanted the Ark to go to Ethiopia, because that hidden away in those amazing mountains and valleys, protected by a devout and armed community who do not want anybody to take the Ark from them, hidden away there, it is safe from the horrors of fundamentalism, and nobody can use it to bring about World War III or the end of the world. The last thing we want is the return of the Ark of the Covenant to the Holy Land. Personally, I'm really glad it's in Ethiopia. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. Unbelievable. Absolutely.
Are ye not as children of the Ethiopians unto me, O children of Israel, saith the Lord? Have not I brought up Israel out of the land of Egypt, and the Philistines from Caphtor, and the Syrians from Kir?